Hello, everyone. Welcome to the streams. Hold on. Hi. I'm Icarus. Oh, I should have been holding this. And welcome to the streams. Today is a very, very special day for the dives today, as we're going on streaming, because this week of November is the anniversary, sorry, I gotta pull that closer, of when I first started streaming. So it has been a year since I started. I started with not too much there. I just prepared a little bit and gave it my best shot. And we did Alice Mine Snares. It was our first one, a little point and click. And ever since, we've been through so many adventures. So this is a big week for me. This is the anniversary of me starting. And we've been through a lot. We played a lot of different... We've dove through a lot of different streams and adventures, from Underhero to Night of the Rabbit to Labyrinth, to Wonder Labyrinth, to even like Little Nightmares 2. We've done a lot. We've been through a lot. And obviously Tales of Vesperia, which is still ongoing at this point. But during all of the adventures that we've gone through, the big one that's been going for a while, is a big project of mine, is the Kingdom Hearts Chronicles. So Kingdom Hearts, if you couldn't tell, is one of my favorite series, especially one of my favorite game series. It, Persona, and Smash Bros. Are the three game series that if a new one comes out, I basically always buy it. I don't even care. I didn't do that for everything. Like when the new Smash Bros. Came out, I didn't get it until Joker was a DLC, just because I didn't have anyone to play with because I wasn't living near anyone. But then online work, so meh. And then I didn't buy all of the Kingdom Hearts off games, like Melody of Memory, though we'll probably do that at some point. But those are my favorite game series. And now all three of them, I mean Smash itself, but Joker and Persona and Kingdom Hearts are in Smash. So I'm a very happy boy. But Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite game series. And it's definitely not perfect. I'll be the first to admit Tetsuya Nomura, the creator, has a little bit of an issue with piling on concept after concept after concept. And they're all good, but oof, it is a lot. But it is super near and dear to my heart, and I love it very, very much. And the first one that ever got me into it was one of my first ever PS2 games. I remember we were living at my grandma's house because our other house was getting built. I was like 11, 10. I wasn't very old. And we finally got a PS2. I've never really owned a PlayStation system. I borrowed... No, that's not true. Epsilon will correct me. I borrowed Epsilon's, my cousin's, PS2. And on it, I saw... I was playing a game called Kingdom Hearts. I remember I was watching Disney Channel, and they used to have the Disney Channel Insider. It was this silly thing where they pretended that this like Disney Channel kid who was like... it was like a news guy would like go and get like the scoops on the new Disney stuff, and it was silly and cringe. But I was like, oh, okay. And I remember he was in this one room. I remember the commercial perfectly. It was this one weird room, and there was like a weird capsule thing in the middle. It kind of looked like the time jump capsules from Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, which we're going through later. And I remember him like being like, oh, what's this? And got the video up, and it showed some of the opening cutscene and just a little bit from the actual game of Kingdom Hearts. I remember looking at it being like, what is this? Like, I did not know how to process it. I had no idea what it was. I was like, I knew it was a game, I guess, but I was like, I don't understand what this is because it's so weird, and it's still weird. Kingdom Hearts is a very odd beast. But I remember that whenever I started playing it, that first segment, which we're going to go into today, of diving into the heart, is still to this day one of the most defining moments of like fantasy creation for myself. Like, it's so iconic to me in my brain and so like burned, so mystical, so interesting, yet with like a little bit of hope and smile there too. It's great. I love Kingdom Hearts, and that's what really did it from that first moment. So this is a very special stream for me in multiple different ways, but especially because of the anniversary and diving into one of my favorite personal, subjectively, I don't think it's the best game ever, I don't know, but subjectively one of my favorite games of all time, Kingdom Hearts 1. So Before we do, though, and I've got everything ready myself, our good old Kingdom Key Keyblade. I've got a necklace. I've got everything ready to go. But before we do, there is something that I want to do first. So, in the Kingdom Hearts Chronicles, which is what this is, let me set this up, make sure it doesn't fall. It's actually really heavy, by the way. That's why I'm not holding it the entire time. It's not like foam or something. That thing is metal. I got that back when I was like 13 years old or something. Oh, it's pretty old. But yeah, so if any of you don't know, the Kingdom Hearts Chronicles, which is what we're doing today, and all of this week, we will be streaming. I'll get that up so everyone can see the schedule. Give me one moment. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, this week will be our anniversary. It'll be the anniversary of streaming, and we'll be streaming all week except for Thursday because I live in the States and it's Thanksgiving week. So we will be streaming. Ta-da! By the way, look at the new border. I worked very hard on it, and I hope it looks good. We will be streaming Kingdom Hearts 1 throughout the rest of this week. I plan on doing 3 mega streams today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and hopefully order to beat it off, to beat the game. Man, everything that comes out of my mouth is awful. In order to defeat the game and conquer it. There, let's put it that way. But yeah, I played Kingdom Hearts, oh my gosh, the first game like 5 or 6 times or something, so I know it like the back of my hand. That's why backseating, if anyone knows, backseating's available. You can backseat as much as you want. I may or may not listen, but you know, you can backseat. I understand the tactics and everything. But yeah, we'll be diving into Kingdom Hearts, the first game, throughout the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. If we finish it between those 3 days, then we'll go on ahead and move on Friday, November 26th, into something more. Because the story of Kingdom Hearts doesn't just end with Kingdom Hearts 1, as we know, and there's a little bit after chronologically that we need to go into. A little bit after, featuring one of my best amazing, beautiful, amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, amazing girls. So we'll be going into that later. But for the first, we'll need to conquer Kingdom Hearts 1, because we're finally out there in the series, and we're finally at that point in the chronology. If for anyone who doesn't know, Kingdom Hearts Chronicles is us going through. Well, before that, this is the schedule. We'll be doing 3 8-hour streams today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. And if we beat it, we'll do something different on Friday relating to it. If not, we'll finish it up on Friday and then move into beating the other thing. We might use Saturday. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get all this done in 1 week. Just a heads up, the VODs and stuff for this will come out a little slow on YouTube, Icarus Redeemed on YouTube, because obviously it's going to take me a while to get all that up. But yeah, so that's the plan for all of that. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, we're doing the Kingdom Hearts Chronicles, which means I love Kingdom Hearts, and I've gone through and played, or at least seen the cutscenes of pretty much every single game there is, even the phone game crap, which, the Deep Lore, which we'll be going over today. So I thought it would be cool as a project to not only play the games and go through the adventure, but also to share in a chronological view, not just in the way they came out, but instead going chronologically as best I can. Please understand how everything will be perfectly chronological, but as best I can chronologically go through the series to see the development of the overarching story. To that end, we have already gone through a couple parts of the story already. Kingdom Hearts 1 is not what we have started with. This wasn't the first dive into Kingdom Hearts Chronicles. This is the first part of this project. If you want to see the other parts, I have it all on Icarus Redeemed on YouTube. I would go over the deep lore, the really, really old stuff, which is based on the phone games, which, yeah, I don't know why they... money. And those I did not play all myself, but I did my research to get all the story on it. And then we played through Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which is after that, and 10 years before Kingdom Hearts 1, which is where we are now. So we've gone through all that bit up to this point. Just to let you know, because we are going chronologically, as you can see, there will be spoilers for some of the later games because we're going chronologically, so we'll know more than someone would know if they started with Kingdom Hearts 1. I know that's confusing, but if we want to go chronological, as in like the timeline of the world itself, Kingdom Hearts timeline itself, we're going to have to get later games before earlier ones because Kingdom Hearts 1 was the first one made, but that doesn't mean it's the first one in the story. So when it comes to spoilers, just you may have seen the no spoilers tab. My rule is anything we've already covered, any game we've already covered in the Chronicle, which would include all the Union Cross, old lore phone games, as well as back cover, and Birth by Sleep, so Terra Venta Aqua, Best Girl Aqua, all of that is allowed to be talked about because we've already covered it. Anything further, that includes Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Dream Drop, Recoded, 3, obviously. All of that is not to be talked about because we want to go chronologically. So if someone's following chronologically, we don't want to spoil what things lead to later on. Even though, yes, Kingdom Hearts 2 came out before Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. I get that, but we want to go chronologically. So please don't make mention to that kind of stuff. We will get there. We're getting there. We're covering one at a time. So before we jump into Kingdom Hearts 1, I would like to do, because this is the Chronicle, and we are trying to go in chronological order, I'd like to do a small recap of everything up to this point. All of the story and the setup for the world, how things turned out the way they are in Kingdom Hearts 1, which a lot of people know 1. They know the worlds are separated, darkness starting to go. How did that happen? Were things always like this? No, they weren't. In fact, they were very, very different. And in order to help with that, I'd like to go over a very quick presentation I set up in order to kind of explain that and show it in a very concise and hopefully quick way. So let me go on ahead and get that up real fast. Okay. And now, boop. So I have came up with a very nice PowerPoint presentation. And for anyone who was here before, you may recognize it a little bit, but it's been spruced up. I've added some flair to it, I guess you could say. And I'm very proud of it. So I hope that it will provide some kind of explanation and aid as we go through the backstory. So that we can get into Kingdom Hearts 1, let's go real quick through the old lore, through before Sora shows up, before Riku, before everything we're going to see. What happened in the past? Why are things the way they are now? So, first off, we need to visit Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. This section covers the, oh, hold on, I want to get up. Oh, hold on. Boop. And then give me 1 second. I want to get up music. Here we go. There we go. I got a little bit of music for you guys. Okay, so this section here covers all of the phone games. There was a phone game that came out, and another version of it, and another version of it. It was kind of mubby grubbing. I'm sorry, but it was. But it held the deep lore, the oldest lore we know about in the world of Kingdom Hearts, in the streams of Kingdom Hearts. So in order to understand how things turn out the way they are now, we obviously have to go back as far as we can first. So, in Union Cross, let's talk about the world. In the beginning, there was the World of Light. And in the World of Light, you had a vast expanse of land that had as many worlds as could be imagined inside of it. Think of it as the light of imagination going out and creating expanse of reality. You had all kinds of worlds like Atlantica, Halloween Town, Chantomaine, Agrabah, all of these different places that you may see later on. And in the center of all of this, ruling over, was the little guy right there. You can see him just on the side there, the little one in the middle, the Master of Masters. And he was at a place called Daybreak Town. Master of Masters took care of the World of Light and kind of oversaw it with his unique brand of quirky wisdom. Master of Masters, as you'll learn, is one of those guys who knows everything, kind of alludes to things, but is so off and weird and eccentric that you can't tell what he's doing or if he's trying to help everyone or not trying to help everyone. He's really weird. But he did oversee the World of Light as you see it. Now, the World of Light existed on its own plane. This is where most of the people lived. Most of the people thrived and explored and whatever. But the World of Light was not the only place. The World of Light existed on a two-side of the same coin kind of plane. On one side was the world of light, which everyone kind of lived on. On the other side was the dark world. And the dark world is kind of like a negative kind of world. Where light exists in life, the dark world has kind of death and darkness. If anyone knows the series Stranger Things, you can think of it as the Upside Down. It kind of mirrors a world of light, but is much more twisted and vacant and empty, both in light and in presence. And between the world of light and dark is a little Oreo cream filling that has the realm between. This contains the realm of dreams and a couple other spaces, but you don't have to worry about them too much. But that's basically the setup: the world of light on the top, the world of darkness on the flip side, and the between kind of in there, which is a limbo space. Now, normally, no one can move from the world of light to darkness. They exist on their own plane. But there are some exceptions we can go through in a little bit. Now, the Master of Masters was the Master of Masters and super knowledgeable and everything because of something very important that he had. This was the Book of Prophecies, which basically was a screenplay. No more might as well have reached into the world and handed him the screenplay for the entire series. It contained all of the prophecies of what would happen in the future, what did happen in the past, and everything that could have happened. At least based on what we know of it. No one's actually ever seen the book except for a very, very small handful few. Because of the book, the Master of Masters knew a bunch of stuff. But as he read, he realized that the world was going to be in danger later because of darkness. So darkness is kind of like, in Kingdom Hearts, is kind of the embodiment of, I guess from a biblical perspective, sin, of loss, of dismay, of power. Then it kind of fits because Disney owns them. From a Star Wars perspective, think of it as the dark side. Wanting of power, wanting of desire, and unleash of emotions and despair. Now, darkness existed on the dark side of the world. Once again, they can't really interact. But darkness was able to see through a little bit and speak with the Master of Masters. Darkness itself at this point was more of a we are one kind of entity. And the two of them were best frenemies together. They talked a lot. And in those talkings, the Master of Masters realized that things might get a little rocky later. And getting rocky started very soon. In the world of light, after a little bit of time, suddenly darkness started to appear, seemingly out of nowhere. And because of that, there was a threat to the world of light. But with that threat came a guardianship. Keyblades, seemingly from the streams of the world itself, seem to pop up into people's hands of those with a strong light inside themselves, a strong soul, in order to defend against the darkness. So, in order to help these new Keyblade wielders out, they were all given little chirithies that helped to collect light and fight against the darkness. And they're all tasked with defeating the darkness itself, collecting the little light that came out from the exercised darkness, and totally not fighting each other. Everyone fight against the darkness together and get along. This'll go swimmingly. So, in order to make that happen, in the phone game, you would play a character who would choose a faction. There are a bunch of different factions, all led by all led by a master underneath the Master of Masters. You see all the factions there. We got the unicorn, we got the snake, we got the tiger. No, leopard. We got the fox, and we got the bear. And all of these people individuals who led these factions led the Keyblade wielders to help save the world and advance the darkness. Makes pretty sense. And while they were doing it, they had a fun game of seeing who could collect the most light and defeat the most darkness as a fun yada la la. However, each of these members, all of these little animal faces, all the heads of them, were given a special role. And the special role was given by the Master of Masters himself. Once he gave out the roles, he vanished. He left. He was not there anymore. And so these masters were left to take care of the world of light on their own. And it turns out they had a bit of a problem with that. So each of the roles given to everyone except the fox, except the one who wear the fox mask, each of them kind of were given roles that opposed each other in a way and created discord and doubt between them. And this created darkness, literally bringing it into the world themselves and fulfilling the prophecy that was already made. except the fox leader. The fox leader was tasked with a special role. Her role was to go around collecting the individuals with the purest of hearts who had Keyblades, the purest warriors, and bringing them into a special club called Dandelions, invite only. Well, mostly. And these Dandelions were to be the future hope when things really hit the fan. Then, one more thing to keep in mind, the Master of Masters had a Keyblade that you see right down there. And a Keyblade are the things that are used against darkness. It was the oldest Keyblade called No Name. I think it's called No Name. And the Master of Masters did a weird thing and put his eye inside the Keyblade. That's what you see there, the little blue eye. So that he could see the future while he was gone. He handed it to one of his underlings called Lushu, who also wore a black cloak like he did, and said, hey, I'm going to bail. I want you to hold on to this Keyblade, give it to someone whenever you see they're ready, like, to fight against the darkness. When you see someone strong who you think can fight against the darkness, I want you to hand it to them. And so he was like, okay, I guess. And so he also was given a box, which you see there. And the box was basically, don't ever open this ever. Good luck. And then he vanished. So darkness started to grow between the factions because of, because of anger and strife and all of that kind of good stuff, jealousy and all that. And darkness started to grow. Now, small interruption to the story here, because this is important in a weird way. There was one girl, remember how the fox girl was collecting dandelions? There's one girl who was supposed to be the next leader of those dandelions. However, something happened in a terrible way, and darkness got control of someone and ended up pulling a Yuri, for anyone who watches Tales of Vesperia, that we do, pulling a Yuri on the girl who was supposed to take the spot. That's why I said invitation only, unless you steal the envelope. So she was killed in cold blood or well darkness right before the Keyblade War, and everything went to crap. And she is the best friend of that girl and the sister of that boy who's going to be a leader. Keep that in mind, that'll be important. So, everyone fought and things kind of went terrible. Kingdom Hearts itself was summoned, which is basically the amalgamation of all hearts, sucked everyone up and all the light that they took, and everyone basically kicked the bucket. And all the Keyblades were left behind, creating the Keyblade Graveyard, which is seen later in the series. Also, Lushu, the one who was given the Master's Keyblade in the box, just kind of chilling and watching the end of the world. Okay, I'm not a part of this. Good luck. But while everyone else was lost and kind of went until the in-between of Realm of Sleep, between the Oreo cream filling between the light and dark realms, the dandelions were left behind. And in order to help... And because of the darkness overcoming, because Kingdom Hearts was summoned and all the light was gone, all the worlds from the Realm of Light, remember how it was all one big space? They all got broken up, shattered, and now exist in their own temporal plane spaces. So they're all the little pocket worlds away from each other. And time went on and people forgot that the worlds were ever connected. Everything kind of went to crap, but all the worlds were separated from each other and at least safe to a degree. But the dandelions that were left were led by a new team. And these team members were picked specifically by the Fox Girl leader before she bailed as well, or left somehow. I don't remember where she went. Now, most of these leaders were picked up as per invitation, except for one, and we'll talk about that in a moment. These leaders were Skuld, the caring but strong-willed girl of the group, Ephemer, the leader and kind-hearted, bold bravery of it, Brain, one of the best characters ever created in this series. Brain is awesome, and I love him. He's freaking amazing. He solves everything almost by himself. He's great. Brain's great. Brain's a great character. Ventus, a bright, young, naive boy who surprisingly made it here, even though he's not super skilled with Keyblade. Keep this in mind. He's important later, and we'll see him again. And then Laurium, who is the brother of the sister who was supposed to be here, but she didn't exactly make it. So, in order to keep the dandelions safe from the encroaching darkness of, all this, because between all these worlds is darkness, nothing but darkness, so you can't really cross. And it encroaches on the world, so in order to keep everyone safe inside, the new Union leaders existed in a digital space where everyone's data and lives were kept safe. However, and this was supposed to be like this for a long time until things were settled outside. However, one of the individuals here, one of these ones is not like the other, one of these ones is an imposter. Cue the Among Us jokes. Darkness actually hitched a ride with one of these individuals, and the same one who killed Ephemer's sister, and is now in the data space. So things might not be as safe as everyone thought. So, within the data space, you had the worlds just as it was before, and everything was basically on rerun. Darkness came back again, as if it did. All the Keyblade wielders came back. It's like, oh my goodness, Darkness again. We gotta defeat that, collect that, and everything's fine. Everything basically happened all over again, but in a fake data world. But this time, no war, because the leaders were gone, no animosity was built between them, so yay, we're just gonna fight against the Darkness and live in our peaceful fake datascape. They're basically in the Matrix in a happy space. That's basically what's happening here. So they're in a happy Matrix space where nothing bad happens and they're all safe. That's basically the idea. However, things are not ever perfectly done, and as we all know based on these streams, software sucks. As such, glitches started to appear within the data space of reality that everyone lived in. So the pocket space started to fall apart, and the world was still doomed because the outside was already masked with darkness, and the inside was starting to have holes built in it, so then things are going to collapse. So everyone, you, the player, who was the only one who survived the Keyblade War, and Ephemer, the leader, go to investigate the glitches. A bunch of stuff happens and a bunch of fighting. Everyone finds out that Ventus had the imposter, but Ventus is able to separate the darkness from himself and fight against it and get the imposter darkness gone, but everything's still falling apart. So Brain, being the awesome one of the group, figures out that there was something left for the Dandelions to save them. And this is where I think Tetsuya Nomura, the creator, gets a little too far. It's not used too much, but when it is, I'm sorry. Time travel! So, pods that go to the future. Very delicate, mystical stuff. The last hope for Dandelions to take light to the future is in these pods. So the Master of Masters left pods that could take individuals to the future. However, they only went one way, and when an individual went to the future, because of the time-space warpy temporal stuff, they would lose. The person who got sent would lose all their memories. So whoever of these people gets sent is gonna lose everything that they remembered back in the past, or at least a lot of them do. It depends on plot. So because they only had so many pods left, because glitches were happening and things were starting to go haywire, these individuals, the girl that is Laurium's sister's friend, Laurium himself, Ventus, Ephemer, and Skuld were the ones sent one by one to the future, with Brain staying behind to help everyone get out because he is a boss and he's amazing. However, Brain was approached by Lushu, remember the guy who had the Master of Masters Keyblade in the box, who was still chilling and watching everything, and he basically said, hey Brain, you want to get out of here? I got an idea. And Brain's like, all right, sure, I got nothing left. I'm literally about to die. So the two of them screw off somewhere that I don't know where they go. I don't exactly know how that happened, but apparently to the future in some way. They go to the future in some way or fashion. Don't ask me about that. I'm not going into details. But all the pods are gone, and the ones who are left behind, just to let you know, the Keyblade wielders and everyone from the war, and most of the Dandelions, a lot of them, went into that in-between space of eternal sleep, where they kind of exist for the future. But at least the ones who were able to jump forward. Now, that is the end for the deep lore. All the worlds collapse, the glitch space collapses, the data space is lost, the ones who were stuck there go into the in-between, the Oreo Queen filling between the world of light and dark, and everyone else gets shot off to some kind of little fragments of the world, Agrabah or something like that, one of the worlds, in order to live out into the future, with most of them no memories. Many years later, though, the story doesn't end. We have Kingdom Hearts Union Dark Road. And this is the start. While that was the deep lore of how everything started, this is the start of how our main antagonist, the one who sets most of the things in motion after the Master of Masters does, comes into play. And in this story, we meet a man named Xehanort. This world is just too small. Yeah, Xehanort, we know. So Xehanort was a man who was born to... was a man who was born into a tiny world called Destiny Islands. It was a peaceful little island. Nothing really happened there. But a very important man named Xehanort was born to this island. Who, by the way, is a reincarnation of the player from the Deep Lore one. Deep Lore, like Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, but don't worry about that too much. That doesn't come into play that much. But this man was born onto Destiny Islands, and he thought this world was too small. You see, Xehanort had residual memories from the Deep Lore part. Remember whenever the worlds were all together and everything. And while they weren't clear, he knew there was something more out there. He could feel it. And because of that, he wanted to explore the world. Now, this man Xehanort, which the weird X name, is very important. We'll be seeing a lot of him. We'll be hearing about a lot of him. He sets all of it in motion. Besides Master of Masters, who set everything in motion originally. We probably keep him in mind. He's important. Important guy, all right? You're going to see a lot of him, or versions of him, or names of him, or you're going to be seeing him one way or another a lot. So keep him in mind. So, while Xehanort was living on his peaceful little island, which was too boring for him, he was visited by a cloaked individual who gave him an offer. The cloaked individual basically said, "Hey, Xehanort, I know you have a great destiny. How about I open a dark portal for you, because that's the only way to travel between worlds is through the darkness itself. I'm going to open the dark portal, and you can head express style into a whole new world. No magic carpet needed." And Xehanort, because he was tired of where he lived and his curiosity piqued, was like, all right, I'm not afraid of the darkness, let's freaking go. And so he steps through. When he comes out to a beautiful world, which is very, very nicely made and very, very pretty. I love this place. Called Casta di Estralum or something like that. Don't worry about it right now. Beautiful world, beautiful new world. So he pops out and is like, this is a cool new place. I've never been to some place I've never outside of my tiny little home before. And while he's here, he meets his new best friend, Ericus. Ericus is a bright young boy who wants to become a Keyblade Master himself, because there's only a few left, because once all the other Keyblade Masters left were lost to the darkness and all the stuff of the space falling apart. There's only a few of the legacy left to carry it on. But he's one of them. He's like, I want to be a Keyblade wielder. Hey, your heart's good. Let's become Keyblade wielders. And Xehanort's like, sure. Yeah, great, cool. I can travel worlds. I'm into it. And the two of them becomes best friends who will never, ever, 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 ever fall apart or have issues or arguments or betray or backstab one another. You see, whenever I put the stuff there with the smiley face, you see what that leads to, right? You get the idea? You get the pattern here? Okay. So the two of them enjoy time together studying under their master, which is the wizard-looking dude down there, and all the other students who were there with them, and they trained to be Keyblade wielders. And while they were there, they played chess with each other, talked about the old lore, of the legends of what we know to be the old lore, and all the stuff that was back then. While they were there, they also saw the Master of Masters Keyblade No Name was apparently there. I don't know exactly why, but it was. So eventually Xehanort's going to get his hands on that, by the way, so keep that in mind. Now, while they were studying here, there was some issues within the worlds, and the senior students were sent out and never returned. So the junior students, which is Xehanort's group, were sent out as well. And unfortunately, they didn't really make it either. The other students and maybe teacher as well, we see a scene where they're graveyards and all of them are really sad. And Xehanort's like, I can't freaking deal with this. The darkness is everywhere. I'm so tired of this. Why is there so much loss in this freaking series? Gosh dang it. Anyone who's like, oh, Kingdom Hearts is always about purity and light, which it is a lot. Friendship, light, and kindness and all that, great. There's a lot of tragedy in this freaking series, and we're going to see that coming up too. There's a lot of tragedy. Nomura's got a freaking, I don't know, like a soft spot for tragedy or something, because my god's everywhere. So at this point, Xehanort's like, I'm going to go off on my own, learn about the darkness, and do what I can to take care of it, because he's starting to become obsessed with it, and like, no, there's another way to handle it. And Ericus is like, I'm the one who was chosen by the master to succeed the Keyblade wielding teaching, so okay, you go ahead, and I'll just raise the next generation. So they split off with one another. So, many years passed, much later, And then we see the start of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Birth by Sleep was originally a game that came out on the PSP, was ported to the system, and it should have been because it might as well be Kingdom Hearts 0. It really should have had a number next to it. Don't know why it didn't. And in Birth by Sleep, is 10 years before Kingdom Hearts 1. So anyone who needs to know, that's 10 years before Kingdom Hearts 1. And in Birth by Sleep, we meet a couple characters that we were familiar with, as well as some new ones, and some beautiful, amazing best characters as well. So, in Birth by Sleep, we meet Xehanort once again. This old man you see right here, this old man is Xehanort. You know, this dude, the one who got all sad and was like, I'm going to conquer the darkness, I'm not going to let it win against me. This is him. That's Xehanort. He's an old man now, so it's many, many, many years later. And he, in his studying of the Keyblade, meets a young boy named Ventus. Does that sound familiar? It should, because remember that it's the one kid from the Deep Lore who got sent to the future. So Ventus is here in the future now, though no older than he was in the past, because he got sent here. Now, he doesn't have any memories from the old lore, but he has the ability to wield a Keyblade, because he did it way back when. Doesn't know much about it, though. So, Xehanort, being obsessed with the darkness and the way to overcome it and control it, finds out a plan based on his research. He wants to make this big, weird-looking key there. That is called the Keyblade. Aren't they all called Keyblades? Yes, they are. This is very, very confusing. It's called Keyblade. It's pronounced like the rest, but it has this. It has the symbol for key, the X that you may have seen earlier in the PowerPoint. It's the Keyblade, which is made to access Kingdom Hearts. And Kingdom Hearts is the amalgamation of all hearts in existence, I think. The amalgamation of everything of life and reality, I suppose, but also the other side of darkness of reality. It gets really confusing, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But it's the big thing that you want to control everything, basically. And so Xehanort wants it. In order to get it, he has to have the Keyblade. And the Keyblade is that fancy-looking one there, and it can only be made by an essence of pure light and pure darkness clashing with each other to create it. And it must be done in a very specific format, a very convoluted specific format. So in order to do this, he finds Ventus. And he realizes, hey, Ventus used to have a whole darkness split with light thing back in the old lore. Something happened with his heart where he has a pretty segmented light and darkness in him. Maybe I can use that to make the Keyblade, or at least start function on it. So he's like, all right, Ventus, my boy, also voiced by Leonard Nimoy, God rest his soul. You're going to train to become a Keyblade wielder and a true master. Here, fight these dark beings from the essence of nothingness, not nothingness, but the essence of darkness and hatred, in order to fight back. And Ventus is like, I can't do this. This is too hard. Help me. So he doesn't unleash darkness in his heart in order to fight back and chickens out from it, which is a good thing because you don't want to give him the darkness. Good job, Ventus. And so Xehanort's like, okay, I'm taking measures into my own hands. So instead, he takes the darkness away, the little beings, and he says, okay. He uses the Master's Keyblade, because he has that now, the Master of Masters, the one with the eye, in order to separate Ventus's light and dark into two separate beings. Ventus and Ventus. Ventus now existing as a being of pure light, with all of his darkness extracted and made into its own essence of Ventus. And the two, pure light and pure darkness. When this happens, I don't know if anyone's gone through surgery, but it doesn't feel very good, and Xehanort, for being as knowledgeable as he is doing something he's not super proficient in, so Ventus kind of gets conked out, and it goes comatose. So he's not looking too good. And Ventus is growing with power and is able to summon Unversed, which are negative emotion beings. So he can do that. He can summon Unversed, and he's bad. So Xehanort, having nowhere else to go with the boy, who is now comatose and almost going to die, takes him back to his hometown of nowhere else but Destiny Islands, and is like, all right, Ventus, I'm just going to leave you here to rot. Bye, you've been useful to me, goodbye, I don't need you anymore. So Ventus is on the verge of death, basically, the verge of never coming back. However, because of Ventus's broken heart, he reaches out to call for help. And in response to him, he hears a little light, a newborn light that just appeared, respond. And in this, the light shares its light and heart with Ventus. The two of them commune together. Kind of like a blood transfusion, actually. That's a good way to put it. So the two basically transfuse blood, transfuse light, in order to help make Ventus whole again. And by doing so, the two now have a shared bond. This little light is going to be important. This little unborn soul who doesn't have any power in it, just the light that it has in life, shares a Ventus. Spoilers, this is Sora. So now you know why Sora's a little special from the get-go. You're going to learn about Sora that one of the reasons I love him so much is because of his generosity and because, well, I'm not going to go into it now, but I love Sora for a certain reason, and this points right to it. So, thanks to sharing their light together, Ventus is revived, though he kind of forgets everything again, and now is kind of like zombie-ish because his heart's been broken again, so he's not really in the best of shape. So Xehanort sees this and is like, oh my gosh, I gotta keep an eye on this boy. He still might be useful to me. So he's like, where do I take him? Where do I go? So he goes to one of the only places he knows and goes back to his old friend Ericus, who is now a Keyblade Master and training his own Keyblade pupils. And there, Ventus meets the two other main characters of our story and Birth by Sleep, and his two best friends, Aqua and Terra. The three of them form an inseparable bond and share time and struggles and trials and growth together, and all three of them forge a destiny together in order to all be and promise to all become Keyblade Masters. So we've got the young and naive but kind Ventus, the loyal but brooding and struggling with darkness Terra, who is very kind, very strong, but does have a little bit of struggle with darkness within, and the reliant, competent, skillful, beautiful, gorgeous, kind-hearted best mom, Aqua. She is amazing. She is the savior of the series, and I love her, and you will find out why. And she deserves all the praise I give her. I will not hear anything different. But the three of them train together, grow together, and form a great bond. Finally, the Mark of Master exam comes, and this is basically the exam to see if you can become a Keyblade Master. So, Ventus is not supposed to be there yet. Sorry, guys, made a mistake. Should have had him come in later. Whatever, you're fine. Well, at the exam, we have Ericus and Xehanort. He invites Xehanort to the exam because they're old friends and they used to be together, and Xehanort's a Keyblade Master, so he can help with the exam. So in good faith, he invites his old bestie back, who totally is not evil and doesn't have any ulterior motive for being here. I know you guys used to be friends, but you fought, you had a falling out, you had issues. I think he literally attacked you once. He looks like an evil old man. Look at him. He's voiced by evil Leonard Nimoy. How do you not know this is evil? Gosh. Well, he's there and allowed to be. And so the exam is given. And Aqua and Terra, the two older people, because Ventus is still a little young and still coming to terms with getting his light back, the two of them fight together in the exam and go to pass it. Aqua passes with grace, as to no one's surprise. Terra, however, due to some meddling by Xehanort himself in the exam, had shown a bit of his darkness inside of him, and Master Ericus does not like darkness at all. He's like, oh, all darkness should be eradicated. It's evil, it's wrong. And because of that, Terra failed the exam, though once again kind of orchestrated by the old man, Elder Geezer himself. So Terra's kind of despondent, very sad, but Xehanort pulls a Palpatine. There's a lot of Star Wars parallels in this, honestly. And basically goes like, hey, Terra, Master Terra, soon to be Master Terra, how about you go through the worlds and learn about them, and I'll conquer the darkness inside of you, like I did back in the day. It totally went fine. I want you go on ahead and do that. You don't need your friends with you. You can do it yourself. You're strong enough. And so Terra, being the dense-headed knuckle brain that he is, goes, okay, and goes off in a huff in order to try to conquer the darkness. Meanwhile, in order to stir things up with Ventus, Ventus shows up and is like, ha, I'm a bad guy of you. Bet you won't go out and sneak out and chase after your friend because he's going to go out and turn to darkness. He's going to be in trouble. You're never going to see him again. Ha. And Ventus, being the little naive boy he is, he's like, oh, I'm going to go find him. And he goes off on his own whenever he's not ready to find Terra. Yeah, look, I love these guys, but So, being the only competent one here, Master Ericus is like, all right, Aqua, you're Keyblade Master now. Here's a couple secrets that you're supposed to know. I need you to be best mom of the group. Go look after the other two and make sure they don't, like, kill themselves or something. And so she's like, okay, all right, cool. So they all three leave in order to travel the worlds and fulfill their individual agendas. So the worlds get traveled through. This is the majority of the adventure. You go through Cinderella, you go through Deep Space, which is Stitch, which is awesome. You go through all the Bastion, you go through, Olympus, back whenever things were pretty young. So you got young Hercules and stuff like that. And as they travel, all three of them interact with different people and grow in different ways. And they all three kind of we got Ventus chasing after, Ventus chasing after Terra. You got Aqua trying to keep both of them in line and being snubbed by both of them. And then you got Terra trying to conquer the darkness inside of him and throwing throughout the worlds trying to follow Xehanort's badly given advice. All the while, Xehanort continues to feed more bad ideas, like a child being fed applesauce. And you got Ventus who shows up, who messes with both Aqua and Ventus and teases them both, creating doubt and more division in their group. Also, this guy Brake shows up. He works for the old dude, but don't worry too much about him. He's just a lackey who works for Xehanort and basically has an idea of what's going on. So, on their journey, something very important happens, though. A couple things. First, on his journey through the worlds while trying to conquer the darkness inside of him, give me a sec. I want to make sure my voice is coming through. Look, ever since the Deltarune stream, okay, can I? Okay, can I? Yeah, okay. I'm heard. Okay, sorry, guys. Ever since the Deltarune stream, I am I'm making sure I'm heard because I do not want to go through all this. Okay, so as he travels, Terra comes across no other place but Destiny Islands. It's almost like this is a place of Destiny's Crossing or something. Oh my god, can't escape from crossing fate, I guess. So, as he gets there, he kind of watches the sunset, does some self-reflection time, which he desperately needs, and meets a couple of young boys. Riku and Sora. Right. In meeting these two, Terra sees a kind of kinsmanship in Riku. Maybe it's the names. Both their names mean Earth of some kind. And he sees that Riku, the one with the yellow shirt there, may have what it takes heart-wise and strength-wise to become a Keyblade wielder himself. So, being the responsible non-master that he is, he performs the ritual and asks, "Hey, here, small child, touch my weird-looking sword and I'll give you special powers." And performs the ritual with Riku in order to become a Keyblade wielder. And Riku, being the child who's like, "Ooh, cool, swords and magic. Yeah, sure, whatever. Just don't give in to the darkness and screw everything up, like I totally won't do," which is good advice. And Riku's like, "Sure, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Sora, I'm here too." So Riku is bequeathed Keyblade wielding by Terra. Keep that in mind. That's very important. Riku is bequeathed Keyblade wielding. He has the potential to wield a Keyblade and has been bequeathed through ritual and rites by Terra to be able to do so. Very important. Now, Riku was bequeathed Keyblade wielding. Can you guys tell me who on this screen does not have bequeathed of Keyblade wielding? Who doesn't have the ability to wield a Keyblade or was not given the ability to here? That's right, Sora. Sora was never bequeathed the ability to wield a Keyblade. This is important. Please keep this in mind. Riku was, not Sora. Riku, not Sora. Riku, not Sora. Everyone got that? Good. So then he leaves and goes on his place. Meanwhile, best amazing, awesome, beautiful, graceful, and best girl of all time, best mom, Aqua, goes to a place called Radiant Garden, which is a wonderful, castle town with beautiful skyscrapers and fountains, and it's a great place. There, she meets a young girl named Kairi and feels nothing but pure light within Kairi's heart and goes, "Oh, that's weird. You should have some darkness, but you don't. You're a girl of pure light. Okay then, in that case, in order to keep you safe, because I know darkness is kind of getting worse around here, zabbity boo, I put a correction spell on you. Things go bad, you yeet out of there." And goes boop and puts it on Kairi. And basically tells her, anytime things go bad, I want you to yeet and go find the closest light you can to take shelter. And Kairi's like, "Okay, pretty lady." Also, Mickey's there too. He's kind of traveling the worlds as well. He's king of his own kingdom, but he's still learning the Keyblade. So he's like, "Oh, I'm here." So, things start to fall apart once again after their little visits to the area. Ventus returns home because he finally realizes that he is the other part of the Keyblade and is nothing more than a piece of a material to forge it, and he's brooding because of that. Ericus knows that he is part of the Keyblade and that his existence could become a problem because he's being a pure light that could create it. And in a case of bad logic, which is apparently rampant in this part of the series, he goes, well, gotta kill you, Ventus, in cold blood. I'm the warrior of pure light, by the way. Remember, I don't like darkness. I'm sorry, I love Kingdom Hearts, but this part right here is a leap of logic. Anyway, so he goes to take Ventus out and stop the potential of the Keyblade ever being forged. And Terra comes in and says, no, you don't. No, you don't, Master. I've been listening to some bad advice from Xehanort, and I think you may be bad. Though, technically, that's not fully untrue because Ericus is trying to kill Ventus to some degree, so there is that. And so he pushes Ventus out of there through a portal and goes to take on his old master. His old master beats him back a little bit, but Terra, learning all the things from his journey he has, does the one thing he probably shouldn't do and fully utilizes the darkness to win and beats his master back. So, things are settled. Let's just talk this out. There's been a little bit of lashings from both sides. Let's just take a moment, everyone. And, nope, I was evil, imposter backstab. Ugh! So, Xehanort shows up and literally kills him, literally imposter backstabs him in the spine, and Ericus frickin' dies. Oh, my PS4 went in the rest mode. And then he yeets out of there. Terra sees this and is like, no! I will get you, Xehanort! You tricked me! And goes off to find, as Ericus fades, goes off to find the master, to find Master Xehanort, or just Xehanort, because he's not a master, he's a bad guy, in order to stop him from doing any other harm and enact revenge, which is totally a hero thing to do. And this world where they live, the Land of Departure, which is this pretty world here where, Aqua, Terra, Ventus grew up, starts to fall apart and really go to the crap. So, it's finally face-off time. Terra, Aqua, and Ventus all show up at the Keyblade Graveyard. This is where the big Keyblade War from way back when started. Remember that one where Kingdom Hearts was summoned and everyone died? This place. All of them show up and are like, we're gonna beat you. Ventus shows up with Xehanort. It's like, oh, we're gonna win. Ha, it's our trap. And Xehanort pours an eyes and is like, this was all a part of my plan. So, face-offs happen. Terra fights his master Xehanort, summons the darkness as he does before because this is an insta-win button, and thinks he wins the battle. However, Xehanort pulls a Orochimaru, pulls out his Keyblade, stabs his own heart, and shoots it straight into Terra, whose body and heart are now engulfed in darkness. Because Master Xehanort is a master manipulator of darkness and the heart, and because of all his research, he sheds his body, sticks it into Terra, and just like spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the last Star Wars movie, the newest one, Rise of Skywalker, just a moment for that, and pulls a, once again, Palpatine, way later, and attempts to, and this time succeeds, in taking over Terra's body. And Terra-Nort is born. Terra Xehanort. Xehanort, Terra's body. Terra-Nort body. We're just gonna call him Terra-Nort because, my gosh, it's gonna get really confusing with Dawn. Get used to that. We're going to have a lot of that in the future. So, Terra-Nort is born. Terra's body is taken over, and his heart is now consumed by darkness, and Xehanort's in control. This is bad. Remember how I said Tetsuya apparently loves tragedies? Yeah, this one doesn't have a very happy ending for anyone. So, what's going on the other side? Well, Braig, who is once again employed by the old guy, has a forgettable battle to buy time between Aqua and Mickey. I don't care if I struggle with it a little bit in the game. It's forgettable. It's not very good. But he buys time so that Ventus can force Ventus to fight him. Because remember, in order to make the Keyblade, the two of them have to clash. And because Ventus doesn't have anywhere to go, he fights with Ventus, and the two of them begin to forge the Keyblade. And bad reactions happen. The Keyblade starts to get made. Things go bad because if Xehanort gets his hand on it, it's going to be a really bad situation. And Ventus is in control because Ventus is too weak. However, deep within Ventus's heart, he faces off with Ventus inside, who has an incomplete Keyblade, who tries to force Ventus to fully finish it inside the heart. However, Ventus, knowing that there's no other way to go, he's cornered, he can't fight because if he fights, it's just going to complete the Keyblade and throw everything into chaos and give Xehanort what he wants. Instead, he's like, "You can't fight me. If you fight me, you lose." And Ventus is like, "I won't fight then. I just won't play the game." And pulls the ultimate sacrifice, crushing his heart itself and fracturing it again like it was way back when. The fractured heart destroys the incomplete Keyblade. Ventus gets beated out of there. Unfortunately, though, the damage is done, and Ventus is put back into, And as his heart is trying to recover and is really, really damaged, it seeks to find shelter. Perhaps, maybe, but where can it go? I mean, where is there to go anywhere else? It can't just go into anyone else's heart. Maybe like the mountains or an old vacation home, somewhere near the beach, perhaps. More on that later. But Ventus is, and everything falls apart. Giant explosion happens, and in the land of departure, their old home, Aqua, who is the only one left who basically has to carry the rest of the team at this point, this is where she shines, pulls an unconscious and no heart, nothing inside Ventus back to the land of departure. Mickey got thrown off somewhere else. So, Ventus is now in a comatose state, has no heart but just a body, but because he's a being of just pure light, he's okay, but he can't do anything. So he needs to be placed somewhere safe, while Aqua, the only one left of the group, has to go fix this. So, using a part of awesome magic, the comatose sleep part gone, but Best Girl Aqua does a Keyblade Master special trick that she learned from Master Ericus before he died. And Boppity Bee, Boppity Boo, being the angel that she is, ta-da! Turns the land of departure into Castle Oblivion. Avoided pocket space where anyone who enters memories gets screwed up when they're created. And a perfect place for your sleeping friend with no thump. In this space, hidden somewhere inside, deep inside, where no one knows, is Ventus. His body left in a comatose state to rest until it's reunited with his heart. And the only one who knows where he is, the only one with any access to where he is Best Girl Aqua. The only one with the key, literally, to the room with the sleeping boy. So, leaving his friend in a place that messes with people's memories whenever they enter, so no one will be able to find him or know that he's there, Aqua goes to tie up one more loose end and to save her other friend, or at least try to. She heads to the land of Radiant Garden, where she fights off and confronts Xehanort. Remember, Terra, who's overcome by Xehanort and now possessed by him. So the two of them have a battle clash. She fights to save her friend, now teetering in control. Battle for supremacy occurs within the shared vessel, because Terra still fights back even throughout the darkness. So it's a back and forth, grr. Aqua gets knocked back because, oh my gosh, even though I'm over level as heck, and Best Girl, I'm still having trouble with this because, my god, he's so powerful. So, in order to make sure that Terra can't take back over, Xehanort, because my god, he is just like a baby when it comes to keeping control, takes the Keyblade of Master of Masters himself and stabs himself in order to lock out control from both of them. Which ends up summoning a dark portal to the dark world. Remember the one that's below the world of light? The one you can't leave whenever you get in there? Remember there's no passages between unless you're being of true darkness? Remember that? The bad place? And Xehanort, now unconscious because, I just knocked out myself, begins to fall in. So what now? Her friend's about to be lost, whose body's already lost, and is about to fall into a dark void from which there's no escape. What do? Well, being the angel that she is, which at this point you guys should understand, Aqua makes the ultimate sacrifice and throws Xehanort out of the way while falling into the dark portal herself, letting her Keyblade, her armor, and everything that is important to ward off darkness fly up with Xehanort in order to keep him safe. In order to make sure that Terra is not fully lost to the Dark Realm, because once he's down there, there's no way to get him out. And my gosh, he's already fighting with Xehanort inside his heart. Oh my goodness, I gotta get him out of here. So she sacrificed herself to save her friend, fell into the Dark World with no armor and no way out herself, only armed with her master, Ericus's Keyblade. So she falls down into the Dark World all by herself with no protection, no X Factor, nothing special in order to save her friend. My gosh, why didn't I put another halo over you? You're amazing. I love you, Aqua. So, Aqua, now in the dark world, falls down, and Terra, now possessed by Xehanort, wakes up in the land of Radiant Garden once again and is found by someone special. Terranort wakes up and is now amnesiac. Man, a lot of amnesia instances happening here. I wonder if there's some kind of connection between it all. As a mental health counselor, I wonder if I should look into that. He loses all of his prior memories because of the I stabbed myself again and now locked out control from everyone, but is now in a place studying under this guy, Ansem the Wise, on the heart. Because Xehanort's curiosity, remember, I was always curious about the heart and the world, still peeks inside this Terranort, who doesn't remember anything's body. And so he studies the heart. So he studies for years underneath Ansem the Wise. None the wiser about anything that happened in the past, Aqua, Ventus, or any of that. He just knows that he's a researcher, and he knows about the heart. So Braig, remember his old employee from whenever he was still the old man, is still there and is a guard at the castle too, but knows who Terranort is. He knows about the old man from before, so he sticks around to make sure things stay on schedule because, as with all good villains, this is all just part of the overarching plan. I'm Xehanort, I'm Leonard Nimoy voiced, and I am amazing. So he sticks around. There's a bunch of other people here, both guards of the castle and scientists, who also are involved. And while Terranort is here, he gets an interest in something specific, a subcategory of study underneath the heart, if you would. That of darkness. So he asks, hey, can I research darkness, Ansem the Wise, my master? Can I do that? Ansem's like, no, you cannot. You will not study that. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, totally won't study that. And goes to study it. And he works with darkness and unlocks it within the hearts of individuals that he experiments on, and things don't go too well. Let's just put it that way. Eventually, this whole area of of Radiant Garden is lost to darkness and transformed by it. And all the hearts inside are flung out from everywhere. So he ruins the entire world because of his research. My bad, guys. Meanwhile, deep in the dark world, the wandering begins, because remember, Aqua is now down there with nowhere to go. So Terranort is up here, researching darkness, has an accidental oopsie, and the whole world basically blows up and is infested, and he's lost or whatever, everyone there's lost. Meanwhile, in the realm of darkness, you know, the place of death, basically Sheol, for anyone who's a Bible scholar, the wandering begins, and Aqua begins her long journey wandering in. For many, many years. Keep in mind, she has nothing with her except the Keyblade that her master used. So, and hope and light within her own heart. Aqua's best. So, Aqua's wandering, Terranort is lost to darkness again, or whatever, and is amnesiac, and holy crap. What about Ventus? Where is he? What of Ventus's heart? Ventus's body is in Castle Oblivion, in that place where if you go into, you lose your memories, and no one knows he's even there except for Aqua, who's in the realm of death, basically. So that's a lot of space to cover. I don't think she's going to make it back soon. So what about Ventus's heart? If everyone else is lost, where is it? Is it lost to the darkness too? Where did it go? Well, sometimes there just needs to be a little bit of a second chance. And Ventus's heart found its home in that little tropical getaway timeshare that it had earlier within the young boy who shared it with him before. And this leads to 10 years later. So, Ventus's heart is inside Sora's, deep down, which he doesn't even know, he doesn't understand. Like, oh, okay, this light, you can be here, sure. Because no one remembers anything from when they're 4 years old. It's very hard to. And Aqua's in the realm of darkness, and Terranort is gone somewhere. He freaking blew everything up. So 10 years pass. 10 years. And that is where we will start our story today. Hold on. So, just a little bit, that's where we are. That's where the story is from where we are. And just to show you here. So, this is the overarching timeline of everything up to this point. We've got Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, which is the first one there. That was the deep lore with all the animal people and the realm of light all being one. Lots of time, worlds broken apart because of all the crap that happened, the Keyblade War. Then you have Union Road, which is Dark Road, which is where Xehanort was started. He went and studied the Keyblade, and then he went off to learn about it himself. More time passes about darkness. Then Birth by Sleep. Terra is possessed by Xehanort and lost to the darkness again because bad thing happens at forbidden experiments that happen within that 10 years, and Terranort loses his heart again. Bad things happen. Ventus equals deep sleep, and his heart goes into Sora. And Aqua is lost to the Dark World. Keep in mind, Aqua's in the Dark World. She's in the place of death for 10 years. 10 years. 10 years. Good gosh. She got the short end of the stick. So, all of the old Keyblade wielders are gone, no one's left, all the knowledge of it is gone, and all the darkness has now infested the worlds, and around the worlds, and maybe in the worlds, things are not looking good. 10 years pass, and that's where we pick up with Kingdom Hearts 1. So, that's the story up to so far. That is the Kingdom Hearts Chronicles up to this point. We go from the deep lore all the way through Xehanort's start, all the way through Birth by Sleep, Terra, Aqua, Ventus, and them losing in the tragedy that they had. And that's it for the Kingdom Hearts Chronicles for the start of the recap for where it is.